a new highway across the middle of South America. Hi there, everyone. I'm Jeff, and this is Plain English, where we help you upgrade your English with current events and trending topics. JR is the producer, and he has uploaded this full lesson to plainenglish.com/470. Coming up today, the vast interior of South America produces much of the world's soybeans and beef, but due to its rugged terrain and remoteness, there are few roads connecting it to the ports of the Pacific Ocean. That is changing, however, as Paraguay finished the first link in a transcontinental highway. In the second half of today's lesson, I'll show you how to use the phrasal verb work on, and we have a quote of the week from the fashion industry. Let's get going. South America is a vast continent with sprawling cities and many distinct cultures. But the biggest South American cities have something in common. Caracas, Bogota, Quito, Lima, Santiago, Buenos Aires, Montevideo, Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, they're all not far from the Atlantic or Pacific Oceans. The vast interior of South America is best known for the Amazon region, but it also produces a lot of the world's food. Brazil is the number one exporter of soybeans. Argentina and landlocked Paraguay are numbers 3 and 4. Brazil also leads the world in beef exports. Most of these exports leave the region from Brazilian ports on the Atlantic Ocean. There's just one problem. The countries that want soybeans and beef aren't on the Atlantic Ocean. The demand these days comes from the other side, the Pacific side. But there are few roads connecting the soybean and cattle-producing regions of Brazil and Paraguay with the Pacific coast. If you look at a map of the area, you'll see a relatively well-developed crisscrossing network of roads in the Brazilian state of Mato Grosso do Sul. But the roads stop at the Paraguay River. There is no way to continue westward. So today, even ships destined for the Pacific have to leave from Atlantic ports. Those ships have to sail north, cross the Panama Canal, and then continue to Asia. But it might not be that way for long. A massive new infrastructure project is underway to connect the interior of South America with the Pacific ports in Chile. It's called the Bioceanic Corridor. This is a joint project among Brazil, Paraguay, Argentina, and Chile. And Paraguay's government completed the first section early this year. The road will extend 544 kilometers, about 338 miles, through the isolated Gran Chaco region. To the east, a new bridge across the Paraguay River will connect the bi-oceanic road to Brazil. To the west, Argentina and Chile are expanding existing highways. There's space for a freight rail corridor alongside the road. And when the road is done, it will save the region's exporters time and money. A container will cost 1/3 less to ship and will arrive in Asia 2 weeks sooner compared with shipping via the Atlantic. For better or for worse, the road will change the Gran Chaco region. The region makes up 2/3 of the land area in Paraguay, but is home to just 3% of the country's population. Until 2019, a region the size of Austria had no paved roads at all. When it rained, truckers would get stuck in the mud for days. They brought rifles to hunt their own food while they waited. Some buses passed through the region. But if buses broke down, passengers had to be airlifted out. There was no reliable way for people in the area to access hospitals or medical care. So the road will bring development to the area, speed up travel times, and improve safety. But it threatens the region's culture and wildlife. Indigenous leaders worry that the road and the services alongside it will bring drugs, alcohol, and crime. Many of the indigenous Iorio people live along the road's path and aren't used to trucks speeding by. There have already been accidents. The region is also home to a small number of people who voluntarily isolate from civilization, and this isn't going to be good for them. Even before construction began, the Chaco region had been losing more forest relative to its size than any other forest on Earth. Ranchers burn forest illegally to get more space for grazing. Enforcement of the law in this area is spotty at best. This looks set to accelerate as the road develops. This forest is where local indigenous tribes hunt for food and gather fruit and honey. Now, some indigenous people in the area are afraid to go out alone out of fear that they'll be attacked by people associated with the new road. Without proper protection, the region's wildlife will also be threatened by speeding trucks. Some worry that endangered jaguars and others will be illegally hunted. The road will use 15 wildlife crossings, which will help mitigate the problem, but not solve it. The path has also been modified to accommodate indigenous people. The road construction across the Gran Chaco region is half complete. The bridge to Brazil is scheduled to be complete by the end of the year, and the full corridor is expected to be open and operational in 2023. Paraguay is also widening a north-south route that connects to neighboring Bolivia. The governments of Brazil, Paraguay, Argentina, and Chile are working on one integrated customs and immigration process so east-west truckers don't have to follow 4 sets of rules in transit. This area is so remote. If you look on Google Maps, you'll see names of towns and villages in Paraguay and no roads. Even on the satellite view, you see only dirt roads and just a handful of homes in each village. I think the road is probably necessary, but I hope the government of Paraguay finds a way to protect the people who live nearby and conserve the area near the highway. Today's expression is work on. It's a phrasal verb, and I'll give you 2 ways to use it. You can work on a thing, or you can work on a verb, an action. When we use work on, we mean that we're doing, creating, or improving something. So let's start with how you heard it just at the very end of the audio lesson today. This new bi-oceanic road will connect Brazil to Paraguay to Argentina to Chile. It aims to connect the interior South American markets to the Pacific ports. The idea is to save time and money. But that road has up to 3 border crossings and 4 sets of rules around immigration and customs. That could easily slow down the process. But the 4 countries are working on an integrated customs and immigration system that will streamline the process so that the rules are harmonized for truckers, making those 3 border crossings. The governments are working on a process, means they are working to create or improve the process. I'm currently working on a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. I used to think that doing a jigsaw puzzle was a frivolous waste of time. But as frustrating as it sometimes is, I think it's therapeutic. The image is a Monet painting. I'm working on the puzzle means I'm doing the puzzle. I'm working on a big project means I'm doing a big project. If you say, I'm working on the basement today, that could mean a few things. It could mean that you're doing construction work down there, improving it. Or it could mean that you have a basement project, like a cleanup or something, and you're doing that project. Either way, it means you're doing something or improving something in your basement. Remember the Marie Kondo lesson? That was lesson number 136. It's springtime now, so maybe it's time to work on your closet. It's time to do some work in there to clean it out. So that's working on with a noun. You can also use working on with an ing verb. In this case, it simply means that you're doing work as part of an action. I'm working on improving the website means that I'm working to improve the website. JR is working on finding a new apartment means JR is working to find a new apartment. Scientists are working on adapting mRNA vaccines to other diseases besides the coronavirus. That means they are working to adapt these vaccines to treat other diseases. I recently finished Inventing Anna on Netflix. That was JR's recommendation. Anna needs to work on treating people better. That means she needs to work to treat people better, at least in my opinion. I could also say she needs to work on her manners, meaning she needs to improve her manners. Speaking of Netflix documentaries, I watched one called White Hot. I'll link to it in the transcript. It was about the clothing brand Abercrombie and Fitch. This store, this brand, was extremely popular when I was in my peak mall-going age, about 16 to, say, 22 or so. The brand was upscale, premium, sexy. Well, you can watch White Hot to learn the full story. But part of the documentary included a quote from someone in the fashion industry. Her name is Robin Given. She said this about the fashion industry. The goal is not to give people what they're asking for, but to make them ask for what you're offering. So she was saying that the fashion brands don't do market research where they ask customers, what do you want to buy? They don't do that. Instead, fashion brands create what they want to create, and then their marketing tries to convince customers that they need what has been created. It's fascinating. So the next time you think you need some article of clothing, ask yourself, do you need this because of you? Or did someone convince you that you needed it? So here's that quote once again from Robin Given about the fashion industry. The goal is not to give people what they're asking for, but to make them ask for what you're offering. Well, that's all for the audio lesson. Now, when I created this lesson, I started writing up a different expression. I was going to choose for long. Now, at first, I thought it was almost too easy for you. But then, as I dug deeper, I realized it was too hard to describe in audio format. I found myself saying, I wish the audience could see what I mean here. And that's when I decided to make it the video lesson for today. Now, the video lessons are specifically for those concepts that are harder to understand just by listening. So I want to show you what's going on step by step. And the other thing is, I give you the slides right below the video. So you can leave one slide open as a reference as you watch the full video and do the exercises. So even though I wrote up a full explanation of for long, I scrapped it and I made it the video lesson because this one really is better in visual format. So I made it the video, which you can see at plainenglish.com/470 if you're a Plain English Plus member. If you're not a member, you can sign up at plainenglish.com/plus, PLUS, and check out For Long and our full library of hundreds of these step-by-step videos. Well, that's all for today. See you right back here on Thursday.